the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and in the Grove, the big, sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, everybody, dear friend of the family, the one and only Anthony Birchak. What's up?
What's going on, guys?
Anthony, hey. I gotta ask, and I'm so happy you did the show, and I should have brought you on sooner to the show because I know you're going to be a fantastic guest. I was just telling someone the other day, I was on a 20-kilometer hike, and I said to someone, when I had the MFC, I had 3 main events, and I ran a contest who was going to be the main event. And they said, how did you do the contest? And I explained it to them, and I said, Birchak and his wife, Mercedes, went nuts, and they basically killed everybody else with getting like likes and things like that. And Birchak was the main event of our card. Yeah. And that was unheard of at that time because there's no way you don't make a 135-pound fight the main event when you have heavyweights and you have.
Dude, no. I remember that. That was such a cool thing to see, and like how many fans and people rallied up to vote on me and stuff like that.
That was crazy. I know it's funny. Like I know in your life, like being from Tucson, Arizona, you grew up there, you have your business there. You know what's crazy? Like, do you even think about stuff like that anymore in your life?
Man, it's been such an evolution of from, we're talking like 10 years ago now, dude. What was that 2013, 2012? You know, it's like, I think back on all those things, and like Mercedes even tells me now, I don't take time to appreciate those type of events and things that we've gone through. I just keep my head going forward. You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of a downfall on my part of not looking back and appreciating those cool little moments like that you just brought up.
It's funny, actually. I'm similar that way. So do you find it a distraction to think about that when you're like trying to plow forward?
It's not a distraction, man. It's just like, why think about, like, it's done. It's over with. You know what I mean? Like, what's next? Yeah. What's the next thing I can do? What's the next? Because that's kind of like a pioneer thing, right?
Yes.
Like that no other organization has ever had fans vote on who the main event is. You know what I mean? That's already like the tip of the spear, right? And then I come in because of, you know, with the following and the buzz that I had on social media at that time. And that was like, you know, Pavlich doing a pioneering move and then me being a pioneer doing this. It's like, it's over. What's next? What's the next threshold we can pass?
That's exactly what I'm talking about, because that's I find that people that blaze a trail forward, I mean, it's tough because you're going where no man has gone before, excuse the pun, but that's what you're doing. And you might get it wrong sometimes, but it's almost like those aren't, achieving it isn't the reward. Breaking new ground seems like the reward.
And that's what it is, right? It's like, it's not finally doing the deed. It's finally doing the deed and then go, what's a little bit bigger or better, and how can I place past that?
Anthony, do you think you're meaner in grappling than you were in MMA?
No. I was just having this conversation with somebody. I actually get more nervous for jiu-jitsu competitions than I ever do for MMA competitions.
Wow. And it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that because you're smashing people in grappling right now. I
mean, it's been my focus, right? It's like I'm not as active in the MMA scene, so like that's what's getting my attention right now. That's the garden that I'm watering. So it's obviously producing fruit. And you know, I was just out in Las Vegas with my black belt coach Casey, and you know, I think he's ranked number 3 in the world right now, Andy Varela. And you know, I was there for a solid, you know, month and a couple weeks, you know, and like normally when I go to Las Vegas, I do striking at 9 a.m. Then I do jujitsu at 11. I take a nap, and then I go do extreme couture at 3:30. And then every once in a while, I'll hit cardio at the nighttime. So there's kind of a a variety of training sessions. And this time it was 6 a.m. jujitsu, 11 a.m. jujitsu, 2 p.m. wrestling, 7 p.m. jujitsu, and it was just all jujitsu, and like by the end of it, it was super redundant, super monotonous with what was going on, but man, did the tools get sharp.
Yeah, I watched all the video of it, and I was like, wow, like you could see a humongous difference, right? Like huge difference. But you know what, the funny part is it's been nagging me all day today. Like before we were doing the show, I always thought you overachieved in certain times of your MMA career, and then weirdly, I thought you underachieved in other parts of it. Then you overachieved in other parts. Like it was never like a climb, and then you said, I'm gonna bounce. It was like this. Like your MMA career was like when you decided to get. It was weird. It's like you made a mental shift. Like I'm gonna be great. Okay, I'm great. Okay, I'm going to fight Soto. Okay, I'm going to kill that guy. Everybody says I'm going to lose. I'm going to smash him. I smashed him. Then you fight against other guys where people are like, oh, Birchak's going to kill this guy. And it's like, oh, you lost the decision. And people are like, what's going on? Like, what? Do you get what I'm saying, or am I out of line?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a weird peak and valley. Like when you look at my career, the peaks and valleys are very odd.
Yeah.
The one thing that I attribute that to is never having the same set of coaching or the same corner over the 24 fights that I have.
I knew it.
Consistency is key, and to be great, it's not who can get there first, it's who can stay there, and like I'm sorry, I just got one of the hairless Sphinx cats, and she's in heat, so meowing. I'm trying to throw her.
Don't worry, on this show we've seen it all, man. Except that one.
That's a new one for us.
So when it comes down to like the peaks and valleys of what happened, I definitely attribute it to the inconsistency of coaching and cornering. Even me being at extreme since 2011, 2012. I've had a couple different coaches between Ray Sefo, Eric Nixick, Dennis Davis, Coach Casey Halstead. It was never the same recipe, and like you can't bake a delicious cake changing the recipe all the time.
I totally agree.
Right, because it's always a test. It's always a trial and error.
It's always a new. I'm glad you bring that up, because I was on ESPN Tucson recently, and someone asked me what keeps me going, right? Like, why? Like, you don't have to do anymore. Why do you keep doing this? And it's because of those not the peaks, it's the valleys, right? Like I'm trying to make up for those valleys that I've had. And I don't want to ever be known as, because right now, the way I see it, in brutal honesty, I'm the best mediocre guy to come out of Tucson.
Oh,
right? Like
easy. But you know what's weird? You know what's super weird? I was thinking about you this weekend. I went to an MMA show, which a person I know owns it. And I went to the show, and this kid was outside, and I love this kid. I don't know you couldn't ask, I don't know his name or anything, right? He comes up to me, he called me Mr. Pavlich. That's when I know I'm getting older. And he says, he goes, Mark, what you think, man? And I'm like, and my wife's sitting next to me, and she knows I can't resist, because I said he made this humongous error, in the fight. And what he did was he pushed up the guy. He had full mount, and he pushed up. The guy pushed up, and he took his arm. Yeah. And I told the kid, I go, when I was training Jason McDonald, I'd hit him in the fucking head with a brick if he took anybody's arm when they put it up in an MMA fight. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And I said, smash him in the face when he puts his hand up. Do not take that arm. He's trying to get out. Well, the kid, it was like fishing. The kid jumped on the arm, thought he was going to armbar him, got reversed, ended up losing the fight. And what I'm saying is, I like this kid, so I told him, right? And you're one of the few people in the entire universe that I owned MMA for 16 years in the country of Canada. I have never, ever sent headgear to anybody ever in my entire life, except for you, because I thought to myself, regardless if we were super close or not close, listen, I never took pictures with fighters. That's not who I am. You know what I mean? But one thing I do know is I know talent. And I know it better than, listen, no offense to anybody at Extreme Couture, no offense to anybody at any of the Greg Jacksons. But if I'm sitting in a room, most of the time, those guys aren't going to talk, because this is what I know about, not just putting on fights, but actually like the dynamic of fighting. And I used to watch you, Anthony, and that's why I thought, well, you're great at jiu-jitsu, you're great at wrestling, but I thought your stand-up, I'm like, you have all the fast twitch muscles that most guys they're not born with that, which you have. So I thought, wow, you could push your stand-up to that level too. Who could beat you? And that was my mentality, even from this far distance in Edmonton, Alberta, when you were in Tucson, Arizona. And it just killed me to watch that, because I thought, no, man, this guy is so much better. He's so much better.
You know, thank you, Mark, because like that sentiment, man, like it brings me back, and like I run a Rolodex of mistakes, you know what I mean? And just a Rolodex of shortcomings. And now that I'm, 12 years into this MMA career and looking back at, like, now that I'm coaching and own my own school, I'm like, motherfucker, these kids are frustrating as shit, dude. Like, how much did I frustrate my coaches? How much did I frustrate the promoters? You know what I mean? Like, and I still have that headgear, dude. And it's propped up in I have a gear bag of just random stuff. And then I have the stuff that I put together that I put value on. And that bar across the face headgear is still the in that bag.
Well, you know what it was, Anthony, you know what weirded me out was when I used to train Jason McDonald in UFC, I was his sparring partner for stand-up fighting, okay? So let me explain this to you. I've never professionally boxed one day in my life. I've never had an amateur boxing fight in my entire life. I was his stand-up sparring partner and used to kick the shit out of him from one end of the gym to the next, standing up. He would, but if we fought in an MMA fight, it would take him 30 seconds to beat me, okay? Yeah. So not even 10 seconds. The point, what I was trying to make was, I was like, I got really good at boxing, and I mean really good. And what happened was, I was watching these MMA guys coming down in the gym wanting to box me, overweight MMA promoter, and I was smacking them around the gym, and they're like, why is he doing this? And then I would translate that to, oh my God, if I can get these guys to start sparring with professional boxers and let the professional boxers know that they're MMA fighters and they're in the UFC, but don't kick the shit out of them, but keep them honest. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I did with these guys, and everything changed. It was like, oh my God. Then they got in the ring with an MMA guy, and it was like, oh my God, I could see everything coming a mile away. It was so slow moving. You know what I mean? And there were no angles. There was no angles to their fighting. You for some weird reason made angles, and I think that's through your wrestling that you already made those angles. And I thought, man, if this guy could do that with his stand-up full on, and you're only 36 still too, eh? So am I correct on the age?
Yeah,
36. I don't know, man. Like, I hate it because I have no talent, but if I had your talent, I keep thinking, I'm gonna kick the can. I'm gonna kick the can or someone's face just one more time.
You know what, Mark? Like, I'm glad we're having this line of dialogue and conversation, because I literally just told somebody, like, with me winning the ADCC International Open and then performance at Combat Jiu-Jitsu this weekend, 2 weight classes up of what I compete at, I could walk away from this sport today and be satisfied, right? But I don't want to be known as the best mediocre guy. I want to be one of the all-time greats, and I'm waiting for my Rory McDonald moment. And it's funny that we're talking about boxing, because and it might be too late, but better late than never. I just linked up with, a new boxing gym here in town. It's called Sweet Science Tucson. The owner's Ruben Bravo. His family was one of the guys. He won the original Contender Series show.
Wow, that was a great show. Great show.
Bravo, that's that Bravo family. Roman Bravo Young, who wrestles at PSU. It's all that.
Wow.
It's all. So we were talking about angles, right? And why guys get knocked out really bad these days is because they hit pads too much. And in boxing, it's jab, cross, angle, and it's always on one angle. You never come back across traffic, right? But you start seeing these guys hitting way too many pads, and they cut an angle right, they strike, and they come back left, and that's when they run into something.
What about that, though? What about that? In MMA fights, the best MMA fighters in the world, they got the guy against the fence. They go 1, 2, step back into the middle of the octagon. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just cut an angle and smack this guy in the head. The fight's over. Like,
exactly.
It's insane. I've been watching it for 20 years, and I say it to this day. I was in a gym in Vegas called, I'll remember the name, but it's from being hit in the head so many times. And I ended up sparring a UFC fighter who was at one point UFC champ. And when he found out who I was, when I took my headgear off, he was so embarrassed because he didn't know that he knew who I was, but didn't know I was in that gym sparring at that time. Right. And I'm telling you, in that gym, the guy that was sweeping the floors would kick my ass. Okay. So the guy who was sweeping the floor would kick my ass. This was a former UFC champ way back in the day. And he was sparring with me and he couldn't hit me with a bowl of rice. And I thought to myself, there's something not right with this MMA stuff because yeah, great. Wrestling, fantastic. Jiu-jitsu, fantastic. But the stand-up, even to this day, you watch, listen, I don't want to crucify female MMA, but have you watched female MMA stand-up? Come on, man. I'm not, and listen, I got all the respect in the world for every athlete. Black, white, female, male, doesn't matter. But what I'm talking about is the level of stand-up is so below par that I can't even watch it. Like, I just can't. I'm like, this is not good. You know what I mean? And now you wonder why people like Jake Paul are getting all this attention. All these other people are getting all these attention. Why? Because we're fighting too. These guys are doing it. They don't look that great doing it, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I always talk about, football, MLB, NHL. Like, that actually requires a level of skill.
Totally.
We say we're 1%ers as fighters, but if I walk into Walmart, I can get 2 dickheads to fight for $500 right now.
100%.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
So when everybody's like, well, we need to unionize and we need to get a union as fighters and get paid more, I go, dude, they're going to freeze all our contracts, will release us and get any to come up from all of these regional shows or
100%.
Because you're going to tell them like, okay, all the guys who know what they're worth are gonna go on strike. These kids that are 19 that just want to fight and be seen in the big show, they're gonna take 8 and 8. They're gonna take 6 and 6.
That's right.
And so I agree with the stand up with the women. You know what I mean? And like I said, I think it's too late. I hope it's not too late. But trying to reinvent myself one last time and really focus.
I totally agree. I still have the footwork. I still have the move. I still have enough in me to dial in the boxing, cut some angles, and put some people on their ass still. I see it doing these Rizin shows and stuff, and I can't stand that. And I'll tell you why. You get over to that country over there, and what happens is if you don't kill the guy, absolutely kill him, like literally murder him, you can't win the fight sometimes. And I can't stand it when you go over there. I'm telling you, stay in North America, rattle off 3-4 wins. You've already been brought back to the UFC twice. So you went the first time, they brought you back the second time, third time's a charm. But you do 3 fights, you destroy people. We put it out there. And you go back to the UFC and get paid the way you're supposed to get paid, win some bonuses, and then say, okay, at 135, to me, my opinion, it's open. It's open.
Yeah, I mean, I wish you were still managing and doing shit, man, because, I mean, I don't mean to talk bad about anybody, but the last management that I was with that got me back into the UFC, they got me in on 3 days' notice. They brought me back at league minimum, not what I left at.
That's crazy.
I fought my teammate Gustavo from Extreme Couture.
Ooh.
And it was like, well, how bad do you want in? Like, do you want to? And Gustavo calls me. He's like, hey, bro, like, I'm trying to stay in the UFC. I know you're trying to get back in the UFC. This is in late November. We can both go into Christmas with some money. Like, it's a win-win for both of us.
And he needed the fight, But you see how stupid that is in MMA? That's embarrassing. In my opinion, this is where we're at in 2023, where, like, literally, like, we were talking about, we better have some extra Christmas money because this is the state of MMA. Yeah, sure, we have the small percentage at the top of the food chain, but the middle of the food chain and the bottom of the food chain, that's a very small, trust me, if Liv decides to just not be with golf and wants to get into MMA, UFC's in trouble. I promise you, trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is like I just tried to negotiate this next contract. I'm contracted to fight Chimmy Morales. He was in the Ultimate Fighter finalist as a he used to have the pink mohawk. So this is my second Ultimate Fighter finale finalist that I'll be fighting. The first one was Diego Lopez. I wanted to be done on UFC 200 weekend. This will be my second guy. And, you know, I'm talking to the promoter and she's like, you and Tonquinho are my biggest headaches with this card. And I go, because me and Tonquinho have a resume unlike anyone else and we know what we're worth.
Correct.
Like, you're not asking me. She goes, well, you said you would even pay to fight someone. I said, I would pay to fight a bum if you could find me one. I go, but to fight nobodies. You're asking me to fight Ultimate Fighter finale finalists. Like, you know, she offered me Tonquinho. I go, don't ever offer me Tonquinho for less than 10 and 10. Like, I'm not. That dude's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, 66 kilo grappler of all time.
Wow.
You know, other than Obrinia. So, like, even now, it's still the money game's so messed up in MMA.
It is.
And I wish people would understand, like, you know, even me just owning the gym now and owning a jiu-jitsu organization, like those still, that's multi-job work. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
The last couple interviews that I said they're like, well, why aren't you done? I said, because this fucking sport owes me a house.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. Listen, let me explain this to you. I thought that about MMA when I was in it. I was in it for 16 years and I made, you know, X amount of dollars in the MMA world. But at the very end, I could have kept going. I renewed everything. I did everything. Which when I stopped, though, I got paid in full. So I said that to myself. I'm like, this fucking sport owes me. I don't owe it shit. If I had $1 for every time I had to tell everybody what MMA stood for, I think people are very delusional. I'm talking the acronym MMA. If I had $1, I would never have to work another day in my life, what it meant. So you understand, that's how long I've been here for. Listen, I was at a show the other day. The people are sitting behind me, and the girl says to me, I'm watching the show, and I'm sitting in the front row with my friends. And the girl looks behind me, and she's screaming at the guy fighting. And I said, oh, do you know that guy? And she said, that's my husband. I said, well, I think I'm going to go root for him, you know? And she says, she looks at me, and she says, oh, do you watch lots of MMA? To me. And my friend grabs my leg because he wants to say something. I grab his leg and I say, don't say a word. But this is what I'm trying to tell you, right? Like I can still go to Vegas and people stop me. I could go walk in the West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton. No one even knows who the hell I am. It's insanity.
That's part of the thing, though. I mean, that is where we're at. I think that goes to all the things you're saying. Is that there isn't the respect anymore that there was. Like it is one of those sports. It's still new. It's not NFL. It's not MLB. It's not NHL. There isn't a legacy yet that you even remember those guys.
Two demographics. Think about it. For as long as me and Mark Pavlich have been in MMA, Mark has had 4 sets of high school students graduate.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
I've had 3. So people that knew me when I was coming up, they're not in it anymore. That the demographics graduated 3-4 times.
It's so true.
The thing that trips me out now is I'll be in a sauna here getting ready for a fight, cutting weight, and people see me doing my thing. Most people know who I am, but man, these kids are like, oh my God, do you know who Casey Kenny is? Like, he's an MMA fighter from Tucson. And Casey Kenny started with me. You know what I mean? Casey Kenny cornered me in my championship fight for the MFC against Tito Jones.
That's right.
That's how long I've been in this game. I said,
crazy.
Me, George Roop, and Dominic Cruz are the 3 original dudes and Drew Fickett, right? The 4 from Tucson. And for some reason, like, we just get lost in the shuffle because those classes have graduated now and the demographics moved on and it's this new age of kid. You know what I mean? It's wild.
Yeah, it's true. I have to look at it that way moving forward because the people were younger and it's like, yeah, of course they don't know what it is. But for me, I almost find it sad in a way. So I'm not looking forward to going to too many shows anymore. And when I go to the States, it's funny because it always happens even to this day when I go to the States, but not in my own country. But like I said, at 36 years old, I think there is a buffer zone still of another year and a half where you can make a difference and you can do this one more time and one more kick of the can. But I don't mean just do it. I don't mean just like, oh, I'm going to get there. I just think that I've thought this from the beginning. I've never had these conversations with too many fighters, but I know you got what it takes to the next level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a Glover Teixeira. You know what I mean? That same formula of Glover going to where he went to when no one thought he was going to go to that. That's the best analogy. And then it's like, you know what? I'm going to bounce, but I'm going to bounce with an extra, $600,000-$800,000 in my bank account because I am now the UFC champ. I defended it one time. Hasta luego. I'm going back to my gym. I'll see you on the dark side.
Yeah, man. I'm damn. That pumps me up so much, Mark, because I appreciate that, man. I really do want to try. And like, I see with this 80cc camp what I am capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't impressed myself in a long time. I haven't been proud of myself in a long time. These last two competitions, I'm not only extremely proud of myself, and I see now what guys like you see in me. I see what Coach Casey sees in me. I see what everyone sees in me now. It just took too long, and maybe now it's my maturity when prior it was my arrogance, my ego. Now it's my maturity of I've seen my highs and my lows.
Yeah.
Know what I'm capable of. I go and grapple with, Aljo and all these guys that are in Las Vegas, and I'm like, I'm still there. Like, it's just where's the disconnect? And it's
it's in the melon. And it's always in the melon with everybody. It's always in the head with everybody. But I used to say that in martial arts, I'd go into a gym and people go, oh, Mark, that guy's going to go to the UFC. And I'm like, no, he's not. And they're like, what do you mean? No, he's not. I go, yeah, because you know why? I look for the guy that gets punched in the face and walks forward, not the guy that gets punched in the face and backs up. And they're like, that's it, Mark? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And they go, yeah. I go, watch. The kid, every time he gets hit, he backs up 4 steps. See this other kid? He gets punched in the head. He walks forward 4 steps. I go, he's got a chance at least. He might not make it, but at least he's got the mentality of like, oh yeah, you punch me in the face, I'm going to walk forward. I'm not going to walk back.
You guys are talking, but there is a thing I think we're missing today is that you're right about the people graduating out, but there's an entertainment factor that's snuck in here that is the driver of everything. And the UFC is like PGA golf in this way. There's the rely on the next fighter for their next wave of fans to come in. So I think that's, as much as we want to say we want to have the best fighting, sometimes that market right now is saying, well, we want the best guy on TikTok to be fighting.
I agree.
So how do you combat that? Because that's a whole other game.
Man, we live in a world of swipe,
yes.
Right? And like, it's instant gratitude, instant gratification, instant feedback. Like what gives you that little dopamine jump? Like what's that drip real quick? You know what I mean? And you saw it but I hope the scene sees how they did that with Conor. Like it was up and it was down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That was something that burned real bright, real hot, real quick.
Yeah.
No longevity to it. Someone like Anderson, who's still he's going to be boxing here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Crazy.
That's something that's burned hot, bright for a long time.
It's true.
And when I think about people's careers, you think about ether, you think about gasoline, you think about diesel, you think about, tallow, right? What's going to burn the longest and most efficiently? You're looking at diesel and tallow. Everyone wants to be gasoline. Everyone wants to be ether. They want the fast, hot right now, right? And like I said earlier, it's not who's first, it's who's left, right? And like
I agree.
Still fucking here, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that is the message that the UFC really needs to double down on now if they want the best fighters in there and not just the instant gratification of burning gasoline. They need to double down on, hey, no, these guys have been around, they've gone to war this many times, they know how this is, and we need to get them in and do their job of promoting you, because it's the promotion. So that's part of the frustration I think now, and because I have kids in that high school age, so I'm like, who do they like? And they'll watch the Jake Paul thing. They'll know what's going on with it, but they won't know the numbered card coming up. And so you're like, okay, well, there's a disconnect there, and I really just think the UFC just has to double down on guys like yourself and build the legacy around it.
I've always talked about one of the things that I think is a big hindrance in growth in MMA is the contract structure, right? Where you get 4 fights on a contract, and then basically it's a one-ended contract, right? It's like you don't get to walk away when you want to, but they can release you after 2 shitty performances.
That's right.
Right? I feel like if we're going to be touted as the NFL, the MLB of fighting, why do we not sign a 3 or 4 year deal like baseball players, right? 3 or 4 year deals at a fixed rate. This is what you get. You know what I mean? That way you can have fighters go through their peaks and valleys, because every athlete does this. Yeah. Every athlete has they feel the energy, and it's all energy driven through the crowd. If you just took a shitty NFL player, a mid-level NFL player, and for whatever reason started putting marketing behind him, got the fans in
100%.
That guy would play like a fucking monster.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at Scooby Wright. I don't know if you guys follow American football, the NFL.
We do religiously.
USFL.
Yeah,
my buddy who played for the University of Arizona here was a middle linebacker. Ended up playing for the Cardinals, the New England Patriots. I think even the Browns. Right? Went back, got out of the league, went to the USFL. He was the breakout star that was always Shark Dog Nation. Everything I saw was about Scooby Wright, who's a defensive player, not even an offensive star. He was the playmaker, right? If the NFL would take guys like that, and if MMA would take guys like that and put the money machine and the belief machine behind those guys, everyone would fight and play completely differently.
Well, it's the same thing what Liv Golf just did in golf.
Yeah.
They said I'm sorry, everybody. You can talk about Saudi Arabia all that you want, but no one cares anymore. You got Greg Norman running the golf tour, Liv Golf Tour, and they basically got the coolest guys on the PGA Tour, the coolest guys by a million miles, and they gave them. Listen, they paid Dustin Johnson $150 million. They paid Phil Mickelson $200 million. They went down the row and they said, who's the cool guys that everybody watches? Bryson DeChambeau hits the ball 400 yards. Oh, we want him because that's what people want to watch on YouTube. They want to watch this maniac that looks like he plays linebacker for the Steelers, hitting golf balls. And guess what? No one have anybody know what they shoot anymore. No one gives a shit. But everybody's tuning in. No one cares. They want the personality. You know what? I'm telling you right now. UFC is a juggernaut that no one can stop. Just like the PGA Tour was, until we all found out they ain't shit no more. Because Liv Golf said, we're going to flex. We're going to use this money. We're going to pay everybody up front. So there's no discrepancies. But you got to show up to this golf tournament, this golf tournament, this golf tournament. If Liv MMA started tomorrow, and remember we did the show, Jesse, and I said that months and months ago. You know what happened? I went to GoDaddy to check if Liv MMA was available. It was not. So I went to GoDaddy 4 seconds after I said it, and I went, oh, is Liv MMA there? It is gone. Someone snagged it. Why? Because Liv, if they want to do it, it would be 10 times cheaper to do it in MMA, 10 times cheaper, and it would be 10 times easier. 10 times easier.
That's wild, man.
Yep.
Super.
Here, I'm going to pay you, Anthony Birchak. I'm going to pay this guy. I'm going to pay everybody. And even some of the guys on Liv Golf Tour, you think, they just paid the kid, the number one golfer in college golf, and said, don't go to your senior year. Come on the Liv Golf Tour. They gave him like $10 million. What do you think the kid? The kid's going to stay in school? No.
He's going to be a pro golfer, and that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. It is a different world. And I do like what you're saying about the union, because I've talked extensively about that, because it's always what I bring up. But what you said is right. You the scabs.
Dana always says, though, he goes, oh, yeah, we don't need a union. Of course you don't need a union.
You don't need it.
Trust me, MMA fighters need a strong union. A strong union. Because no one's going to fight ever again for 10 and 10. Never going to happen.
Yeah, and the ranking system, like, I think that is a big thing too, because if you actually fix the ranking system and, you get the right shots in there and the title shots in there, then maybe you can retain some guys more that way.
It's not who they say gets it either, though.
That's what I mean. It's like an actual
structure. You don't get to pick who's fighting. It's the ranking gets to. That's not like one fights two. That's it. That's how it works.
But I guess then you get some crappy fights that you don't really want to see.
Well, but
oh, it's got to shake out, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Boxing fights that we don't want to see that have to happen.
Yeah,
that's 100%, Anthony.
Step aside money. Step the fuck aside. Let me take this. I'll pay for this.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I think that is, that's valid. And I
Wait a second. Can I write that down though? Can I write down step aside money?
That's really
I'm
good.
writing that down.
Yeah, you do this thing. That's what boxing does, right? If there's that guy, but you also have to pay us enough that we have to have step aside money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not doing step aside money with 50 and 50 or even 100. Like that's not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to be in a place where you guys are paying enough to not, okay, yeah, number 2 sucks. No one wants to watch that stylistic matchup. But number 3, 4, and 5, those are amazing. Okay? Does number 3, 4, and 5 have the step aside money to make this happen? No. Who does? Well, number 4 does. Cool. Let's see 4 and 1.
Yeah.
And I also think that this non-sponsorships, that you guys can't get your own sponsorships, is bullshit too.
Yeah.
If I want to wear Nike, I can wear Nike. Like that's.
Yeah.
I remember me and Matt Mitrione, and he's coming from the NFL, right? I was coming from, dude, Mark, I was making like 20K. I was making a bunch for fighting in Canada. This wasn't even my hometown. I was making like 20 grand in sponsors. Canada. Okay. About the same for my first couple UFC fights. So Matt Mitrione, is talking about like, well, you guys said there's going to be a sponsor. They're like, yeah, so Reebok's going to sponsor you guys and you'll get, a structured pay tier from Reebok. So 1 to 5 fights is 2,500, 6 to 10 is 5 grand, so on and so forth, right? But then the lady says, but we get to reserve the right to put another UFC sponsor you, whether it's Monster, Bud Light, Fram, right? And he goes, okay, so it's going to be the same structure for those guys, right? Like 1 to 5 fights, 2,000. She's like, no, that's just one that we get to reserve to put on you. And he goes, how does that make sense?
Wow.
He goes, what if religiously or morally, ethically, I don't fuck
I'm
with
not
that
down.
company.
I'm not down. Yeah.
And but I'm down for pay. Like, okay, cool, but you gotta put 5 grand on it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand why. Okay, and now I understand now that Monster pays every individual athlete differently. But if you're sticking Fram on me, right? And they're not matching the pay tier that Reebok is, how am I making money in this? And then on top of that, managers taking a cut of the Reebok sponsorship like they did something.
Yeah, they didn't.
This last Venom thing, like I even had other managers be like, don't fucking pay him that. Like, how did he secure Venom?
That was free. That was free to you.
Yeah, how did he secure Venom to you? You know what I mean? And they actually bumped their pay tier up. So I had a good little deal and I still had to pay 20% of that out to management. And it's like, how the fuck did you get Venom? You didn't.
No, it's true. But listen, there's a great tweet out one time when Dana F-bombed me right on Twitter because I made a very open statement about how incorrect that was about sponsorship. And then he F-bombed me on Twitter in capitals. And I started laughing, because I'm like, wait a second, man. Like, I don't bow down to anybody, as everybody knows. So I'm like, no, excuse me. I bow down to God. And I'll say that on our podcast. But outside of that, nobody else. And you know what was crazy? He said that to everybody, and everybody goes, I wonder what he's so mad at Mark for, like, why is he F-bombing Mark about the sponsorship thing? And then I just saw last week, Brendan Schaub, same thing. Brendan Schaub was saying something, and he's F-bombing Brendan Schaub, and Brendan Schaub says, that's what he does every time, man. It's like he just starts F-bombing the guy, thinking that, I'm going to F-bomb him enough and bully him off the road, and it's like, are you kidding, bro? Like, you just stole money from all the fighters in the UFC. I had Jason McDonald at one point making $30,000-$40,000 a fight in sponsorship. And then he went the back end of when the Reebok deal just started, he got nothing. And I was like, this is insane. But this is the reality of the business, that the UFC business. And there's nothing wrong with the UFC per se.
But they fuck the money up for everybody.
Correct.
Even now, like sponsorships in Bellator, do you remember like
Yeah.
Crotch and butt would go for $3,000 to $5,000. You know what I mean? Like sometimes more. Now it's like you're lucky to get 1,000 out of somebody for a crotch or a butt. You know what I mean?
True.
Because the money got fucked up all across the board.
It did.
You know, it's not the same. Like that could have. I remember Cowboy, I think, said was making $220. You know what I mean? Sorry, guys. $220,000 in chips from like Easy Go Golf, Bud Light, Budweiser. You know what I mean? And then that gets wiped, and that gets wiped from every organization.
That's crazy.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Well, Anthony, Mark was super excited when he said you were coming on the show today, and you haven't disappointed. You're so versatile in the octagon, but also talking. And I think that, if you think about it later on in life, you should probably get behind the camera, in front of the camera, and do some talking there too. I've
tried, brother. I've tried. I mean, I've worked, I've been able to do commentary and color commentary for, Rizin and a couple organizations. Once I pack it in, I'm going to like legitimately start looking at, trying to be a news anchor or some sort of.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, you've got it. Like I honestly, like you're easy to listen to. It's awesome. And so I think that I always think that that's just like because you have to be confident. You have to have like that character. You have to go through that. Not everyone has it. No. That's what I mean. Not everyone has that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, the experience, the resume. I'm a multi-sport athlete, not just MMA, not wrestling, all of it. So. I'm a student of the game. I continuously watch Muay Thai fights, boxing fights, MMA. I try to see what the new meta is, what it's going to be. Where's the sport shifting to? What's heading like that? I love this game, man. And it's like, I've been telling people, it's like a loving a girl who doesn't love you back, like she's the best, but damn, is she a bitch?
Yeah. This is MMA. I couldn't agree more.
Well, with that, we want to thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight, and follow you on all your social media. Make sure that the promotion that happened,
post it everywhere too as well. We will.
Yeah, but when he got the main event with the MFC, however many years ago that was, it's our turn to return the favor. So people have to come back and say, hey, no, this guy needs to fight again in the UFC.
And also too, we have to make sure that they follow his wife and his Instagram. Because the shit's gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
Mercedes Instagram. And listen, I am so not easily entertained. And I was on Mercedes Instagram yesterday, his wife, and I was just like, oh my God. Like I was laughing. I'm like, this is gold. And trust me, I'm online basically 16 hours a day. And I'm like, it takes a lot to get my attention. And it did. And I'll post it for everybody so you can go check it out.
Yeah, she's a wild one, man. I greatly appreciate you guys having me on, Mark. I know I haven't talked to you in a long time, but I want to let you know that I truly appreciate and I have a lot of gratitude for how much you believe in me, what you've seen in me, the opportunities that you've given me and many, many other people that came through the MFC, man. Like, I wish more people would understand how big of a platform that you and your wife and Dave had created there in Canada, man. Like I miss the MFC. If you ever bring it back, dude, call me up.
Yeah.
You're not the first one to say that.
Yeah, we get that every day pretty much. So.
Well, thanks so much for joining us once again. And hey, we'll talk to you soon.
We will.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night.
Hey, buddy. Anthony Birchak, everybody. Hey. I told you, like it's it's funny when you're that talented in life, and he's had some big fights where he won where he wasn't supposed to win, and then he just went into the ADCC International Open and he won that with 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and I was watching him with his jiu-jitsu and I was like, Jesus, like just another level, and I was like, wow, like he's really getting good, and I'm like, he's 36, like, oh my God, like he still got it, it, like. So why not continue?
No, it's definitely possible. I think too sometimes, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think lighter weight class people,
I agree,
can do that a little longer versus a heavyweight idea.
I totally agree.
Yeah, but again, I mean, everybody's different, I guess too. But it seems like they can go longer. And 36, in the MMA world, I mean, it's on the higher end now.
You're teetering, yeah.
Yes, but it's a later sport than say like the NFL, which you'd probably be done already for that kind of thing too. Speaking of the NFL,
that's neat.
We have to, Mark. We have to. The people
totally
want to
not.
know. The people want to know what you feel right now.
Okay, you want to know what I feel?
Yes.
I think there's so much bizarre stuff going on in the NFL right now. I can't even explain it to you. Meaning, like Josh Daniels, like he doesn't even sound like a head coach. Like he's 0-3.
Yes.
And I heard him today, and I watched the press conference, and there's no sense of urgency. There's no nothing. I think someone fed them some weird Kool-Aid to make them think that this is all okay, but it's not okay being 0-3. And with the talent they have on their team, literally talent, like I can't take it no more. Derek Carr cannot be the starting quarterback for the Raiders. I don't care. Listen, other NFL players have been on our show, many of them, okay? I'm talking from a place of love, okay? I am not talking from a place of knocking him down. I think he's a great individual. He's a practicing Christian. I think he's a good person, but he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, 3 games in a row, he had opportunity to win the game 3 times in a row. And in 3 times in a row, he can't take the pressure. When there's no pressure, he's fantastic. But this is the NFL. There's lots of pressure.
Well, I think too, though. I don't know. Like I do. Like they did have. They led the league in fourth quarter comebacks.
And as you said, though, Jesse, I heard you say it the other day ago, and I said, you know what, Jesse's right, man. I'm like, I was walking the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, he's right. Why should you be in this position to have me be part of that?
That's the problem. And so it's a percentage thing. So okay, yes, you've had the most of those, but you shouldn't always be in that. It's because you're in this situation the most. And now teams know, hey, if we do this, he can't succeed in this stage of the game. Or even in that last 2-minute drill or whatever you're trying for it. We know that unless something catastrophic happens, we'll play this way and it will not go well for them. So, it's one of those things that teams figure you out. It's the great quarter. He's been in the league for 9 years?
9 years.
So teams figure you out. Teams know what you're going to do. They know what you're capable of doing. Yeah. Brady, Rodgers, those kind of guys. Yes, you have a different gear. Hey, man, people have figured out Russell Wilson, I think, maybe.
They have. In Denver, they figured him out now. But you know who just reinvented himself? Again? Mahomes. Mahomes said...
Yeah, he's going to be... He is already elite, but he could be in the Manning-Brady talk.
Oh, but you know what's funny? They lost yesterday, okay, which is no big deal.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But it doesn't matter. They lost, but I'm telling you, Mahomes, and I hate to say it, and it's killing me to say what I'm going to say right now. But it doesn't matter, though. If someone's great at what they are, Jesse,
they are what they are. I hate Rodgers, but I can admit what he is.
Me too. But he also, too, is consistently at his age reinventing himself.
Yeah.
Mahomes is doing the exact same. Unfortunately, the GOAT is not doing the same thing. The GOAT, they got his number now. So Tom Brady...
Giselle has his number now.
Yeah, doesn't have his number anymore. But ouch, too soon. But what I'm saying is Tom Brady, no question, is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Seven titles. Yeah. But listen, when something's not okay at home, I don't care who you are. You can both attest this.
Yep, absolutely.
It affects you immensely,
yep.
And you can clearly see when Tom Brady has how many touchdowns in 3 games? 2, I think.
Yeah,
2 touchdowns. Crazy. This is insane. It has. Listen, I actually love Tom Brady, not in the fact as I love him like Rafael Nadal. I love him for his ability. His ability is off the charts. His IQ is the highest that there's ever been in the NFL. Unfortunately, at 45 years old and things not going good at home, I think his day has come.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely, I mean, again, it is Tom Brady. I never will write him off, ever.
No.
And so it's week 3. They're,
Week 4.
Yes, going into week 4, correct. I still will not write him off. That being
I
said,
yeah.
I do agree that something's much different. I think the home thing has
Russell Wilson looks shaky in Denver.
Hey, man, the whole team does. That's the crazy part of it, is that, you thought, okay, we got rid of this coach. We got Russ. They're not on the same page. They're not on the same page. That week 1 kickoff, that kick on 4th down against the Hawks on week 1, that is
number 1
ringing in their ears right now.
Yeah.
I think you do, I think that was something catastrophic had at that moment, and it might take 3 more weeks to fix that.
But you know what, Jesse, people keep forgetting is the age of Russell Wilson, the age of the players on the team.
Sure, but you have one of the best running backs in the game.
I know, but they're all in their 20s and 30s, so they still take things very personal.
Oh,
so,
I see what you're saying.
That's what I mean about that. They still
Russ
take
is
things very
36,
personal.
I think.
But he's 36, which is basically the same age as my son.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get what I'm saying here. They're still kids, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I agree with you. I think that messed with them somehow. I don't know how, but we'll see. But yesterday's performance was horrendous. Horrendous.
It wasn't good. I don't get it. Because on paper it looks pretty deadly, and I just don't get it. Jacksonville put the stamp out on the Chargers. Now the Chargers, obviously,
man.
Herbert.
Come on, man. Is that crazy?
Is
crazy. That crazy?
Obviously, Herbert, that hurts because
what about the kid? The kid, look, is everybody forgetting about this beach bum? Everybody does. This kid for Jacksonville. Yes. This kid was national champ. Didn't lose a game for 3 years.
I know.
This kid at one point didn't lose since high school. So you think this kid sat around all summer, like all winter, summer, whatever, and said, "Oh, I'm going to repeat this crap"? No, they banked on a winner. That's what Seattle's going to get. That's what Seattle's going to get eventually.
Hey, man, I think that, you look at it like, they blanked Indianapolis last week, who just beat the Colts or the Chiefs this week. They blanked them. And so, they lose a close one to Washington, of all places, at the beginning. So you think, oh, here's another year. But the last 2 weeks in Jacksonville, I will tell you what, fans are like, hey, maybe this Trevor Lawrence is doing good. The chemistry he's found with Christian Kirk now is, Cardinals losing Christian Kirk, I love Christian Kirk. Not many people know him, but they're going to know him now because he's put up 3 solid weeks in a row with, putting points on the board. So anyway, I think Jacksonville, Miami now, 3-0, crazy. But you and I were both big on Tua. I do love Tua. I think in Tua we trust. I think it was shady how they did Fitzpatrick wrong, but still doesn't matter.
Well, Fitzpatrick ended up with a good job. He's on the panel.
Yeah.
He's on the panel now. So
and, he did what he did. When his career was over, he still kept it going for 4 more years. So, it
100%.
It is one of those things. It's the business of it. But yeah, then, there was some weird stuff going on yesterday. And again, the NFL is, to me, why it's so great is that as much as you think at the beginning of the season, as much as you think Sunday, that you have it, any given Sunday, you don't know you have to play the game. That's why you play it. That's why you throw the 4 pitches when you walk, because once out of 1,000,000, the catcher's going to miss the ball and the guy's going to run to first or whatever.
100%.
You have to do it. You have to go through the motions to do it. You have to prove something. And so I think that's what I love the NFL about. Buffalo losing to Miami, though, that was
I love it because everybody's giving Buffalo the crown already.
I am too. Buffalo to me is
I'm not saying anything, but the kid took it hard, the loss.
He did.
And I'm telling you, man, I didn't think I think really in his head he thought he wasn't going to lose all year, right? So I saw him how he was hugging Tua after, and it looked like Tua was consoling him.
Yep.
And I started laughing, and I thought, this kid, man, maybe he's not as tough as we thought he was, and we'll see what happens in the coming games. But listen, man, when you see KC lose, Buffalo lose, all in the same week, I'm like, wait a second here, man. This thing now we don't know anymore because, like we said,
that mixes things up.
Yeah, it does. It does.
The Chiefs losing does help you. If Raiders won yesterday, that would have been incredible. But
no,
their fight isn't with them now anyway. The fight is with the Chargers.
Al Davis is rolling in his grave right now.
Man.
Okay,
he's digging another 6 feet down.
He is. He's saying to himself, what an imbecile son he raised. And he's saying to himself that, first of all, the worst haircut in football. And then he's saying to himself, what is my son like? He would have pulled Carr already. Al Davis would have pulled Carr already. He's not friends with these people. He would have put the backup in, and he would have called it a day. And with this team, that kid would have won 2 of the 3 games. But for some reason, Derek Carr, like you said, they use the stats of the comebacks, and they use the stats. There's a lot of padded stuff in there.
How long of a leash do you think he has?
Oh my God, it should be cut already. You know what
happens. I know it should be cut already, but Jesse, how this year? Easily lose the next week and he's going to get it rolled in?
No, because oh my God, Josh McDaniels don't forget he coached Denver.
Yeah.
and he failed miserably there. Then he stopped and went back to Belichick, okay? Needed more breastfeeding. And now he's in Las Vegas and started at 0-3. You imagine that. He doesn't have the courage to pull Carr. He doesn't have the courage. Belichick would have pulled Carr already. He did the same thing back in the day when Tom Brady became their starting quarterback. For 10 points, do you remember the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots when Brady?
Drew Bledsoe.
You are correct.
I know. And Drew Bledsoe was no slouch.
He was the man.
Drew Bledsoe.
He was the man.
Yeah.
And Belichick said, Drew Bledsoe, you're out. We're going to put this.
Well, he got hurt, right? And then he never went back.
Correct. And what I'm saying to you is I'm not wishing Derek Carr to get hurt. That's not my thing. But he needs to, like, for the better of the team, man. Like, you just don't have it. You don't have it. You've never had it, but you've never been even this bad before. Like, you've never have. So
Who do they play next week?
Don't even check. Don't even check because I already know the answer.
The Chiefs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There you go. There you go.
I said you weren't going to like the first 5 weeks.
No, we play Denver.
Oh, Denver, then the Chiefs.
Yeah, Denver. So let me explain this to you. We should beat Denver in theory, but it's in Vegas. But what I'm telling you is, if for some reason Denver beats the Raiders, their next week they're in KC on Monday Night Football, and you imagine they could be 0-6. This would be catastrophic beyond belief. You're 0-3 right now, which means, look, if you can beat Denver and do something crazy on Monday Night Football, your next 2 games after that are against Houston and the Saints.
Yeah.
Maybe you go, 3-3 or, whatever. But what I'm saying is you have to beat Denver next week. You have to. Like, oh my God, I'm scared to even look, bro. I'm like, I looked and I was like, no, that's the week after on Monday Night Football, short week. And now, but they're playing Denver, right? So there's no excuse, man. No excuse. And like I said, after watching Russell Wilson play, I can't believe Russell Wilson doesn't have the same chip on his shoulder as Brady did when he went to Tampa. He does not, Jesse. He doesn't have that chip. I don't know why he doesn't, but we all know how great he is. And I thought for sure, this is what I thought in my mind, that he was going to be this year MVP. I swear to God, if you put in a hat and I said, pick the 2 or 3 guys, Russell Wilson was at the top of my list in Denver because I looked at the whole offensive line. I looked at his receivers. I looked at his running back. I'm like, oh my God, he doesn't have to work that hard. Like, not like he did in Seattle.
Right.
And I'm wrong. Along with a lot of other people.
Jeez, maybe they knew something. Maybe they were right.
Yeah. No, a lot of other people thought like us too, though. So no one thought he was going to lay an egg like this, and nobody.
Well, everybody, thanks for watching. If you have any glass needs, commercial, residential,
go to Crystal Glass. Go to Crystal Glass. Your clear choice. Your clear choice for all your glass needs. You go to 310 Glass or crystalglass.ca.
And Meathead.
Meathead, specialty meat and seafood. Fantastic. The stuff they're coming up with these days. Hey, what about your gig? What about your gig?
My gig.
Your gig. Tell everybody about it. Get on down there.
Come on down to Spruce Grove to Broadway and Grand and Parlor 1919. Check it out. It's Parlor 1919, speakeasy club that you would find in New York. I'm not even kidding.
And guess what, everybody? You might even be able to find Jesse there sometimes.
You gotta look.
Most of the time.
I might be in my chair. Say hi. Buy me a drink. That's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Martin. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. Thanks so much, Anthony, for joining us tonight. And we will see you next time. Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.